Ever since I did my Let's Go video in this kind of podcast format, I've been wanting to do another one. I really like this because instead of it just being me talking to the camera, I actually get other people to join in and give me their opinions as well. So today I'm joined by two other fantastic Poketubers. We've got our resident Infinity Energy expert, Ruin Maniac Files.
What up, people?
Wow, is that your real personality?
Not really, not really. How's it going, everyone?
Also joining us today is Canada's biggest Poketuber, HybridHero.
Oh, come on. That's Tyranitar Tube, man. How's it going, everyone? HybridHero here. If you don't know me, I just make 3 videos, top 10s, and yeah, I make everything pretty much.
So, the Pokemon games tell a story of a child who starts out knowing almost nothing about Pokemon, and they quickly become a powerful trainer. Like, the player character is able to conquer the gym challenge, they defeat a criminal organization basically all by themselves, and they become the Pokemon League champion. They also encounter and capture legendary Pokemon that other characters sometimes spend years to find, like Eugene in Pokemon Crystal. There's also a theory that explains why most trainers don't carry a full team of Pokemon, and why most people who do have large teams focus on a single type. And the theory is that it actually takes a lot of skill to handle that many Pokemon and be able to control them without being overwhelmed, especially Pokemon of different types who you would expect to have very different temperaments. But the player character usually gets a full team of 6 Pokemon and carries a good balance of types really early on.
Right.
So all of this comes together to show or prove that the player character is a really rare talent, the kind of skill trainer that you only see once every few years. They're like the Ronaldo of Pokemon battling.
Okay.
But I feel like most people who play Pokemon don't actually feel like they are such a special trainer. Like, we see people complaining that other NPCs don't have more Pokemon, or like that the games are too easy is the most common complaint ever. And we make fun of Team Rocket and other evil teams because, you know, a 10-year-old was able to take them down. And we don't really consider that that 10-year-old was a prodigy. So it feels like anyone who just tried hard enough would have been able to take him down. At least that's how I feel. So
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely, bro.
Partially.
Okay, X and Y is the best example for me. That game, it made no sense. I don't know how I was the one that stopped Lysander, okay? There was, the Elite Four was there, Diantha was there, Sycamore was there. How am I, a trainer that just started my journey with 4 other friends who didn't even test me? They weren't even my rivals. They were just my friends. They didn't challenge me at all. They didn't help me become better or anything. I was just this one kid that went on a journey with 4 friends who somehow managed to stop the guy that was about to start the ultimate weapon that was going to destroy the entire world. I don't know. X and Y was the biggest example of this for me. That it just made no sense. Definitely in other Pokemon games, it's the same case. Not all of them.
Is there one in particular that you thought that it was done better?
Yeah, Black and White was done a lot better in my opinion, and I think the main reason for that was because the main antagonist N, he was growing alongside with you, right? You'd always have to fight him in whatever city or route, and then he'd always have the Pokemon correlating to that city or route or whatever.
Right.
And I don't know, because of that, it felt like you and the antagonist were developing as you played along the story. It made sense to me as to why I beat N, because I seen him when he started, and I seen him when he finished. Well, not started, but I seen him throughout the journey. And it was
you were developing along with him.
Yeah, and it wasn't even just N per se. Charon was right there, and he was
Charon.
And he, as a rival, was able to test you, and even as a friend, he was able to be there for you and everything. And when you got to the Pokemon League, it wasn't just you that beat the Pokemon League. You and Sharon all beat the league around the same time. So I don't know. It just felt that felt more real to me because I wasn't this one special trainer. There were definitely other people that were doing the same thing as me.
Yeah.
But X and Y, oh my goodness, I don't know. Anyways, that's that.
Yeah. No. Well, in Black and White too, you have in Black and White as well. You have all of the gym leaders helping you at the climax of the game, right? They all show up to help you take down Team Plasma. So it does feel less like you were doing it all by yourself. You're still the one who gets the legendary dragon and you're still like the quote unquote chosen one.
Right.
Yeah,
Except it's not really a chosen one narrative.
That's something with most Pokemon games, like with Black and White, and I think there's a little bit with X and Y with how Lysander treats the main character. Like he mentions something, and he sees this character as a special, but there is nothing really special about that character.
Yeah, but they point out that there's something to you. That actually happens a lot, I think. A lot of people say, "Oh, there's something special." They're always very vague.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I guess having the other characters there in Black and White and helping you do things, and versus in X and Y where the other characters were there but didn't help you do things. I guess that was a big factor in whether it felt like you were a special trainer or not.
That would be I could see that as a factor, and I'm sure that is. But as you were saying, like Libris, the whole the dragon thing in Black and White. See, yeah, I think in every Pokemon game it is made to like in a way that you are the chosen one, whether you're like bringing out Ho or Lugia, or whether I don't know, you're bringing out Solgaleo or Lunala. I'm pretty sure like every game makes you feel like that, like, or says you're a chosen one. But some games do that better than the others. Like
Sun and Moon has Tapu Koko literally chosen you.
Right. Yeah, that happens right at the beginning. They set that up really early.
Yeah, very early. And in Black and White, they set up the whole thing with Lightstone, Darkstone? They set up the whole Reshiram and Zekrom thing, not as early as Sun and Moon per se, but they do set up early enough. And even throughout the journey, it just, I don't know, it felt right to reclaim Reshiram or Zekrom as one of the as legendary Pokemon. Whereas like I don't know, we'll throw X and Y out of the example for now. But Diamond, Pro and Platinum, why was I the one to fight Giratina when Cynthia was right there?
Yeah, that's true. They don't really explain that.
When you're paired up against the champion, like I don't know, there's been so many opportunities like Steven and Cynthia. I'm like, why me? Why not you? You're better than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sort of the message is that you are actually better than them. I mean, you haven't beaten them at this point yet, but you do eventually go on to beat them. So I think that might be what they're trying to communicate, but they're not really doing a good job of it.
Right.
I think that the games that have this kind of chosen one narrative the least is Generation 1, right? Generation 1 is basically you just explore. And you happen to defeat Team Rocket along the way, because you're there.
A smaller story. It's a small story, isolated in Kanto, and doesn't have that mysticism around it.
Exactly. So it is a very small story. Like there isn't really much plot to it, except you defeat Team Rocket and you become the champion.
Yeah.
And maybe this is because I was playing those games when I was much younger. Those games did feel like more of an accomplishment when you finally got to the end.
Especially since you beat your rival for the champion. No, man,
That's true.
So satisfying. That was
Absolutely.
so satisfying.
But I also wonder if that might be partly because in Generation 1 especially, you were playing a character, whereas nowadays you're playing an avatar of yourself. Because of character customization, it's you who's doing that. And, in your friend's game, it is them who's doing that. And that might be why it feels less special, because it actually is everyone. Whereas in the older games, you were playing a specific character. Everyone was playing Red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I have to think about this one.
Like my only real point of comparison with any other franchise is Zelda. That's the only other franchise that I have a significant understanding of.
I just beat a Link Between Worlds. That game was great. So yeah, we can.
Oh,
I think we're all on board for Zelda. We can talk about Zelda and Pokemon.
Yeah.
With Link, I mean, it's definitely a kind of chosen one narrative, but everyone is always saying that you are the hero, and you're always playing as Link, even when you can give him a different name. The character doesn't actually change.
Right. Now, I think what makes Link different. I understand what you're saying, and I think I agree with what you're saying. How like when this character customization involved, it does feel like you more so than like Red or any of the other player characters. But I feel like with Link, the difference is that Link has special, regardless of whether you name yourself Link or something else. You have special abilities that no other character has. For Breath of the Wild, for example, no one has a Sheikah Slate that can use like cryosis or whatever, or magnetism. I'm the only character that has that ability. Whereas in Pokemon, regardless of what, all these Pokemon in the wild are available for every trainer to catch, or that's what it seems like anyways. And every character is able to have 6 Pokemon. Every character is able to have a diverse team, a strong team, or a team of their liking. But it always ends up, especially with more recent games, it's like, why does everyone have 4 Pokemon and I have 6 when everyone can have 6? Or why do I don't know. It just like it's just the capabilities. If I was supposed to be special per se, I would like to have something special about me, something that makes me different, that I noticeably different from the rest of the characters in gameplay or whatever.
Something that isn't just a power up. Something that isn't a mega. Something that isn't a C move.
Yeah, I think that's where the theory that I quickly went over at the beginning. I think that's where that comes in, where you see that no one else has 6 Pokemon. You're the only one who has 6 Pokemon.
Yeah.
So you might be like quote unquote legally allowed, but
do they know they can have 6 Pokemon?
Right? The way they
Am
play
I
it, it's like,
cheating?
do you really know that you can have 6? Come on.
Are you doing a Nuzlocke or something?
yeah. But maybe in terms of what it's supposed to be, is that like you're legally allowed to have 6 Pokemon, but few people are actually able to do that as trainers. We don't really see the practical aspects of carrying 6 Pokemon, like having to feed them, for example.
That's true. Yeah.
That's true.
You'd go broke pretty quick.
Yeah. So maybe people who aren't as good trainers just can't have that many Pokemon because it's too much. It's overwhelming.
But see, with that, right? It's just like, I know I'm like nitpicking here and going into like super specifics, but it's like, if that's the case, why doesn't the rich boy or the rich girl have 6 Pokemon? they're rich enough to buy food and then hire people to feed the Pokemon. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't, even if they're too like snarky for it to feed them or whatever, they can hire people if they really want to. But I don't know. It just,
that's fair.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you need to feed your Pokemon, you just go to the Pokemon Army, play a little bit with them, and then you have magical puffins.
Honestly.
I hope that that's not a representation of how it actually works.
I think regardless of which way we spin it or which way we look into it, I still don't feel satisfied. Aside from Black and White and Sun and Moon, I don't feel like I'm a chosen one, or I don't feel special in comparison to the other trainers.
Here's another question. Do you think that different play styles might affect that? So, for example, I like to play underleveled. I like the challenge, so I don't do very much grinding. If I go up to a gym that's 5 levels over me, I'm okay with that, and I'll just like keep going at it. Whereas other people, like my wife, for example, she prefers to play over leveled. She does a ton of grinding, and she likes to crush her opponents, basically.
Okay.
And I wonder if that might affect how accomplished you really feel. How do you guys play?
How do I play?
Let's see. I tend to choose 6 Pokemon before I start the game, if I'm playing a traditional playthrough.
Even in like a completely new generation?
In that case, I may make some changes from what I know. For example, Sun and Moon, we knew almost every Pokemon before going to the games, and I picked like 6 or 7 I wanted. I used almost all of them, I think. But for example, let's say I go to play Black and White. I say I want to use Tepig, I want to use Lillipup, Patrat, Sewaddle, something like that. I catch only those Pokemon and nothing else. And I only fight with trainers. I don't do grinding. I don't fight any wild Pokemon. Never. And I always tend to be under level.
Okay, so I think I'm in the same boat as Rune Maniac, because I do the same thing. When Sun and Moon first came out, there are a few. I think there were like 8 or so Pokemon that I wanted to use. I used all 8 of them. I basically had a team of 6. I took 2 out and then replaced them with the 2 others I wanted. And even I'm playing Black 2 and White 2 right now. I made my team before going into the game, and those are the only Pokemon I'm catching. And I've only fought trainers. I fought like a few wild Pokemon, not really that many. And yeah, I just chose the 6 Pokemon I wanted, caught them, and fighting trainers, and that's it.
Yeah.
You just find a team that you're happy with and you stick with it.
Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
Unless I find a shiny, then things will change. We'll see how.
Yeah. Interesting. For at least the last 2 generations, I stopped looking at any news several months before the release. So
Right.
I actually didn't know most of the Pokemon by the time I started those games. When I go into a game without knowing anything, well, I enjoy it more because I have no idea what I'm going to find, right?
Yeah,
Everything
yeah.
is a surprise. But it also feels a little bit more challenging because I have no idea what this Pokemon that I just caught is going to turn into.
Right.
I might have a bit of an inkling that, the normal type Pokemon that you catch in the first route is not going to be that exciting because they never are, or they rarely are. But overall, I'm just going with whatever feels right at the time. So I change my team quite a bit throughout the game.
Mhm.
Like, to me, that does feel more challenging. But I don't know that necessarily makes me feel more accomplished at the end of the campaign.
For me, if anything, I think that would make me feel less accomplished. Not because in one way I've trained multiple Pokemon and I've got a feel for, like, I guess different species and different types or whatnot. But in another sense, it's just like if I invested the amount of time I did with like 10 Pokemon into 6 Pokemon, I would have been stronger. And if I beat the Pokemon League with these 10 Pokemon in rotation, I would have done this so much easier if I had a set 6.
Yeah, I do often spend quite a bit of time trying to get more than 6 Pokemon to maintain the same level.
Right. So you didn't feel that accomplished when beating the Pokemon League for the first time in Sun and Moon?
In Sun and Moon? No, I don't think so. It didn't feel special. I didn't have that feeling of really overcoming something.
Yeah.
Going back to the Zelda comparison. In Breath of the Wild, for example, you might have better or worse weapons. And if you have better weapons, you're going to do better. It's going to be easier.
Right.
But there's still an element of technique to it.
Yeah.
You have to do the
Yeah.
right things at the right times. Whereas with Pokemon, it's basically just level.
Yeah.
If you have that level difference, you can brute force through whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. It is just level. The only way I can see myself actually feeling accomplished after like every Pokemon game is if they changed the battle mechanics or whatever completely. But then that's I don't know how they could do that.
I think it's a combination of in-world factors and from the writing. I think it's like 3 main factors when it comes to the narrative of the games. Who are you before starting your journey? Who are you during your journey? And who are you after?
Wow, I really like this.
Because
I'm on board.
let's see, for example, when you defeat the League in Black and White 2, you have all these, in the end credits, you have all these images of you going through the different cities of the region, and you have a parade in Castelia. And the same happens at the end of X and Y when all this ceremony giving you this medal, and AC appears, and blah, blah, blah. So there you have a moment like of recognition from the game, so you understand the place you are taking as champion. But after that, in the post game, there is almost nothing about that. It's like 1 or 2 NPCs call mention, "Oh, champion, you're here," blah 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 blah. But you don't feel the
Yeah, it
responsibility.
doesn't really change much.
Yeah, so I think it's like I feel it a little bit in Black and White when you have to do the locker missions, when you have to go search for the 7 sages of Team Plasma, and it's like, okay, you are the champion, you are good enough to do this, go and take the responsibility for taking this high place in the region, for taking the spot of champion. But for example, let's say
X and Y.
of course, X and Y. You have the handsome the looker episode in Lumiose, so you have something to do after the game. But still, they don't. They don't. How do I say this? They don't make you feel you are as important as a champion.
Yeah. Right.
So when you start your game, so I think it's like the Pokemon company of Game Freak, when they make the games, they try to make you feel like you are completely new to the region. That's why they're from from several regions. You have 3 where you are new to the place. You just moved in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you're right. I didn't take that in. Wow.
So it's like, oh, I'm this kid from another region, another town, and I don't know anything about this place. I have to explore and learn. And Gen 1 is that the game. It's like explore, learn what this world is. Gen 2 is something similar, but here you have, I think, the best case of world building related to a champion, because you go through the region and you have people telling you, yeah, 3 years ago there was this kid named Red who defeated Team Rocket and now they are back.
Yeah.
And you go to Kanto and more people talk about Red and you find Red. So you have like this world building around Red and you feel like he was an important person.
Right. And then you make it to him and you defeat him.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I just started like playing like 2 weeks ago. What's the deal? It's like,
sorry, are you saying Gen 2 is good in this sense, or is it bad?
It's good when it's related to world building. I don't think
Right.
it's that good when it comes to the main character.
Okay.
I think let's compare it with Black and White. From the beginning, you find N, and N immediately says something like how he doesn't understand why your Pokemon care about you.
Right.
So you immediately have like the rivalry, the confrontation between 2 different ideas, and that's why I think you have like when you defeat him at the league, you feel like you accomplished something.
Yeah. No. I think I agree with you. Even in Gold and Silver, what I think makes it worse is Kanto. This is gonna sound like contradictory because I love having 2 regions, but I think Kanto, it was just like, why? How come Lance was so weak when all these trainers in Kanto are so much stronger than him? Like, does this make sense? How am I beating the champion when these gym leaders are stronger than the champion? I don't know. It just didn't. But again, it comes down to with that. It comes down to levels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for the gym leaders themselves, it sort of makes sense because as we've been shown on very few occasions, like gym leaders theoretically change their teams depending on how many badges you've gotten before you get to them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that all the Kanto gym leaders would be using their best teams against you because you already have 8.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't explain why Lance is at a lower level, because you'd expect the champion, you'd expect the Pokemon League to actually use whatever is their best team.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's 3 Dragonites and whatever else. I hate to keep bringing up Black and White and X and Y as the lower example, but no, for Black and White, I think another reason why I felt more accomplished, it was because I beat N at the end of the game, not Elder. You know what I'm saying?
That's
with
something.
Gold and Silver.
That's something I put on my notes. It's like when you play almost every game, the league is like peripheral. When you play the Kanto games, the flow of the story goes, it takes you to battle Giovanni in the 8th gym. That's the pick. It's the best moment of the story.
Right.
But let's see, for example, Gen 2, you have the plot of Team Rocket trying to get Giovanni back. In Gen 3, you have Aqua and Magma trying to wake up Kyogre and Groudon.
Yeah.
And then you have the league. And the league feels like little. If you put the league next to the plot of what the evil teams want to do,
Yeah.
it feels like little of not that much important.
That's true.
Because these two guys, they want to destroy the world. The others, it's just a competition.
Hoenn, a good example. Now I'm thinking about it. As far as I can remember, except for Generation 1, every Pokemon League, there's at least an Elite Four member that you see before the Pokemon League starts. Because like in Generation 4, you see Flint in Sunny Shore. In Generation 2, you know of Koga and you see Lance beforehand. Does that happen in Generation 3? Did you see any of the Elite Four members?
No.
I can think of Steven in Auras, but I can't actually think of him even in the originals.
Yeah, because I feel like a big part of why some of the Pokemon Leagues felt like important was because you knew of some of the members beforehand. You met some of them, you talked to them or whatever, and then going into it, you're like, all right, when I beat this guy, I made it.
You see they are influential people and you understand what is their role.
Yeah. But no, you're right. When you put the Generation 3 Pokemon League next to the plot of it, I'm like, yeah, the plot's definitely seems more serious than the Pokemon League.
Yeah.
Yeah, you meet Steven periodically throughout the game, but he's never like, even when I don't know, the only time like you kind of know of his battling capabilities is where you team up with him against the Weather Institute. He doesn't really put on much of a show like Lance does, or like even Iris or Alder. He's just kind of there and he's like, yo, sup, my name is Steven. I'm kind of important. You don't know why, but I'm important.
But the team up battle with Steven is in Emerald.
Oh, it's not Ruby and Sapphire?
No, and he's not the champion in Emerald, so...
Wow! Okay.
He's like the final boss, but... in the post-game, but...
Oh, man, that sucks.
But I think that's something, because, let's see, with Flint, as you said, you find him in Sunny Shore, right? And then you know he's someone important. But Cynthia, Steven, with almost every champion you find them before fighting the lake, going to the lake. But if after the post game you don't have the same, you let's see, this is what I like about the Seven Sages missions in the post game of Black and White, is that if you have something like that, you feel responsible for being the champion.
Right.
You are someone important who has to do something for the rest of the region now. Because if you feel like gym leaders are like these community-based people, like they help the city, like it happens in the anime. They are like teachers of the trainers that come out of the town.
True.
If you have something to do after the boss game because you are the champion, then you feel that something.
There's a responsibility on your shoulder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your position means something.
Yeah, exactly that.
What does Sun and Moon have after you become the champion? Just the battle tree, right? You just go to the battle tree and be like, you see red and blue, and you're like, okay, I guess there's this.
And the Ultra Beast mentions with Luca and Nando.
Oh yeah, that wasn't bad either.
Yeah, no, the Ultra Beast mission was pretty good, but I don't think it was there in Ultra, or am I misremembering?
No. It was replaced by the Rainbow Rocket.
Ah, Rainbow Rocket. See, even that was good because I'm like, all right, I'm the champion, and I think they refer to you as the champion, right?
I think they do.
Rainbow Rocket.
I think they do, because Sophocles comes to ask you for help when Rainbow Rocket takes over the Festival Plaza, and he comes to you because you are the champion. He doesn't go to Kukui or Hala or none of those people. He goes for you. He is searching you. He needs you to defeat Team Rocket.
Dang.
Yeah, it's like I like that kind of missions episodes, but I will like if they like place little more. Let's say, for example, you go back. Let's say we are in Johto, right? You become the champion. You go back to Ecutric City, and you need to solve some character lost an important item, or their Pokemon has gone missing, or something like that, and you have to solve this problem. So you start feeling like you are helping the people of the region because you are the champion.
Which it's kind of similar to what you see Cynthia, for example, doing with you during your journey, where she gives you something to help you get rid of the
Psyducks. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, with what we've been saying, I think the Rainbow Rocket episode, the Delta episode, and the Seven Sages mission that you keep mentioning, I think those three are all they're all prime examples of they do make you feel significant. They do make you feel like, okay, you're the champion
Yes.
after you've beaten the game. But the problem with the episodic ones is that, okay, once the episode's over, I'm back to being me. I'm back to being me. But even sure, I made it to this position where I can take care of Deoxys with the Rayquaza, or take care of Giovanni from a different dimension. But I still don't feel like, as much as you're referring to me as a champion and stuff, I still don't. For the most part, I don't feel like I'm the one. In Sun and Moon it's fine, in Black and White it's fine, but in like Hoenn, for example, Steven and Wallace, why don't you just put them together? They'll take care of everything for me. Why am I here?
And having better post-game missions helps establish your character as the champion, someone with responsibility. But it doesn't really help for the entirety of the pre-game.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, I know we've been talking about this, but even right now, I still don't know how I could feel accomplished. Like, the only way I can, going back to Zelda, in Zelda, for something like A Link to the Past, for example, there's items in A Link to the Past that you can miss because they're not mandatory for you to get, but once you get them, like, bro, you're unstoppable. There's a sense of exploration. There's a sense of accomplishment. I feel accomplished because I went out of my way. I solved this puzzle or whatever, and I got this item, and it wasn't mandatory. I didn't have to get it, but I did get it. And now that I got it, and even though I was already special, I feel even more special now, and I feel like I could defeat Ganon or whatever because I went through this, and I don't think Pokemon has that sense of over like exploration or sense of, it's just too handholdy. Everything that I need to do to become special, it's taking me through it. I'm not doing anything to become special. The game will just do it for me.
And that actually ties in with something that I have in my notes. In Pokemon, well, in the modern Pokemon game, you get a lot of things given to you right before you need them, and you don't actually have to work for it. So, like, in Zelda, a lot of times you do find whatever weapon you specifically need to defeat the boss of that dungeon is in that dungeon. And you're going to find it in the process of exploring the dungeon. But it's still something you have to work for. A lot of times there's a mini boss right before it. So you still have to work for it in order to get that thing that's going to allow you to defeat the dungeon boss. Whereas in Pokemon, especially nowadays, a lot of times you're given something as like part of the plot, I guess, right before you need it. Where someone, gives you, oh, here's a grass type Pokemon. It just so happens that the next gym is going to be water type,
Yeah.
Is there any examples that you can give besides HMs for the whole item thing? Because I'm kind of drawing blanks.
The Master Ball.
Oh yeah,
You
great
always
example.
get it before the battle against the legendary Pokemon. It's like, oh, hey, Pokemon with a high catch rate, here you have a Master Ball. I don't know where I got it, but here you have it.
Another good example is the experience share, which in X and Y you get after the first
First,
gym, I think.
after the first gym.
Yeah, who's after the first gym?
You're just given it. Whereas in Gen 1, for example, there was the Experience All, which was like the Gen 1 version of the Experience Share, which I guess kind of works like the way the Experience Share these days works.
Yeah,
Except it gave a lot less experience. But even then, in order to get that, you had to have a certain number of Pokemon
Pokemon, your Pokedex.
in your Pokedex. I think it was 30 or something like that. So it's not much.
You had to talk to the aide, and then you'd have to remember, all right, I have to come back to this guy.
Yeah, or you talk to him and he says, oh, you only have 29. And then you're like, oh, well, okay, I'm going to go catch something because I need this.
Yeah.
Or in Gen 6, you want to explore before going into the first gym, Viola's sister. She is right outside the second route, and if you go there, no, you can go through here. You can't go win the gym, and I give you the experience share. You can't even explore that route. They are like saying, this is how you have to play.
I feel like either way, like whichever way we look at it, it goes down to like the problems or the complaints that like a lot of people have with Pokemon. It's too handholdy or it's too easy, and I know like you're talking about how it was like too easy at the beginning of the podcast, yeah? I feel like in a way it's not that everyone's saying it's too easy. I feel like everyone's just saying it's too handholdy, if that makes sense.
I think those two things are a little different, but they're very related. yeah, I guess they are handhold, but because they're like giving you things that make your life easier all the time, that makes it easier. There are things that maybe you don't have to use. You can turn off the experience share unless it's let's go, in which case you have no option. So like you can turn it off and make it a little more difficult because you have to do more battles and so on. But the fact that you got it, why wouldn't you use it?
Right. Yeah, that's essentially how I feel.
Other thing I want to add is, remember I said there, I think that's three different factors: how you go through the story, what happens after, and what is before. Before you get your first Pokemon, let's say. Comparing it again to Zelda, you are always Link, and all the games are together a bigger story. It's a continued story.
Right.
Let's say you're playing Ocarina of Time. It's the same story in a different point of the timeline as A Link to the Past. If you play Pokemon games, there are two couples of games that are related are Red and Blue, Gold and Silver, and Black and White 1 and 2. You feel it's a continuation of the story that started in the previous game. But if you have this one game like Hoenn, Sinnoh, or X and Y, Alola, it's like an isolated story. I think it's something like, for example, you have Link in The Legend of Zelda, and he's like this mystical character that appears every now and then. And in the Pokemon games, it's like, let's say you have Red, you go outside, they explain to you how is the world, and you go playing like that. Gen 2 is almost the same until Kanto. I think like if you add something of world building before you get your first Pokemon, you have like a backstory to explain a little bit of the world, and you can understand it better, and you feel like you have a place. For example,
Right.
if you play directly Hoenn, it's like it's this kid from Johto who just moved in. Go out, go catch Pokemon, kid.
Yeah.
In Sinnoh, well, you have this like your friendship with Barry that exists previous to you starting the game.
Right. But that's it.
Like for example, I was playing Golden Sun. You start and you're this character Hans, I think, and you already have a friend. You have to do something, and you have your family, everything, and something happens. You don't have any. You can't do anything about what happens in the first 5 minutes of gameplay. You just have to read, and if you want, you can explore, but it's limited. But you have your character who wakes up, and it's like an eruption, I think, going on.
Yeah, it's like an earthquake or something, right? Yeah.
An earthquake, something like that. And you have to, they're evacuating the town, they have to go to other place, and you see how there are older characters who have powers, who know how to use this magic alchemy, and you meet the two bad guys of the story at the beginning. So you already have like a power level, and you know that it's something bigger than you.
Right. Yeah. So it's set up in that way.
It's a setup, and you have like I think like a 5 years jump, I think, until you can start playing like yourself. Like you don't are just a witness. You are now the player. You're not the main character. In Pokemon, it's like you just started. You are thrown into the routes to go catch Pokemon and beat the league.
Yeah. Even when they do try to establish you a little bit by giving you friends, for example,
Yeah.
you're just given friends. You have no reason to actually like these people.
Yeah. That's true.
Like,
like Barry.
You're just told that this is your friend. You've known each other your whole lives. Well, I know nothing about this person.
Right. Well, like the whole like chosen one thing. I know the whole chosen one thing and the whole setting up before the story even starts. Like we said, when Tapu Koko picks you up, or like when he's there for Sun and Moon, that does make you feel like the chosen one. But I would also argue that in Black and White, Cheren and Bianca, even though they're your forced friends or whatever, Cheren and Bianca are like they're so different and you're like kind of like in the middle ground. Like one's facing the whole thing with truth, one's facing the whole thing with ideals, and then you're kind of like the middle of it.
Mhm.
And then that friendship dynamic kind of feels like, okay, there's a reason. I don't know. Maybe not the chosen one, but it definitely makes me feel more established in the game, if that makes sense. There's even like a whole talk with N, and how N's saying Bianca has to deal with the truth of not being enough or something, and N has to deal with Sharon has to deal with his ideals of becoming the greatest or whatever. And I don't know, that whole friendship dynamic does make me feel like it's closer to the chosen one than anything.
It makes the world feel lived in.
Mm-hmm.
That's when.
And it gives it gives the player character a little bit of character development, which is not something you almost ever see in a Pokemon game. And I'm wondering if it would help if the player character was more of a character, like Link, for example, like for someone that you're just told what your personality is.
Right.
Like other people are aware of who you are and interact with you in a specific way based on what they already know about you. Whereas, nowadays you're just a kid.
No, but you gotta remember, we have a personality. We smile at everything that comes our way, regardless of whether the world's going to crumble in or not. We smile. We just smile.
Yeah.
No, I gotta agree. You might be right with the whole if Game Freak just gave us a personality, that might work. But I feel like they're too scared to do that.
Well, that would go completely against what I think most players want, or at least what most players have expressed that they want, because everyone wants trainer customization.
Everyone wants to roleplay.
Yeah. And I totally get that. Mm-hmm. I just think that choice might be going against the kind of strength of what little writing they put into these games.
I agree. Even with other role-playing games, I just feel like when a certain personality is set up, I'm fine. I don't know. This is me personally. Even if there's, I'm trying to think what game has character customization and role. I don't know, a lot of them. Does Breath of the Wild count? Link kind of has a personality, but I can still customize him sort of to a degree.
Yeah. But like, I think with Breath of the Wild, it's a little different because you're not really customizing the character. Like, you might be giving him different clothes, and you can change the colors of the clothes. So you might do something that you, as the player, like better, but you're not changing the fact that he is Link.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas another one that does have lots of player customization is Skyrim, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And in that one, you have like free reign over what you look like, but you also have free reign over what you do.
What you do, yeah. You can kill the NPCs if you want to. And it's completely fine. Yeah.
So Pokemon might be kind of stuck
in the middle ground.
Yeah. And it's not quite working either way.
Yeah, they're gonna have to make a choice sooner or later.
I think it's a little bit related to the audience, because at the beginning the audience of the games were just kids, 10-year-olds, and now it's the same fan base but 20 years older. So
yeah. Well, it's a much bigger fan base too. You still have the kids.
Oh yeah. No, sure. But the main fan base is the ones that came playing from the older games, from Gen 1, from Gen 2, Gen 3, and
right.
I think it's like I said, it's like you are a kid thrown in a world you don't know. The problem is we already know almost everything about it. We just we play the 7 generations of it, and we are expecting a little bit more of, I don't know if world building, because that's my thing, but I think sometimes we are expecting the games to evolve with us at the same time. But if you have that avatar dynamic in the games, it's like, if you want to give the player the freedom to be whoever they want from the beginning, at the same time you are limiting their exploration by giving them a linear story with not much places to go. I think it's like a contradiction in what they do with the games.
Hmm. I think they might be making these choices because they are very safe. They make very safe games that will please the largest amount of people and piss off the smallest.
Yeah. Hopefully they're not doing that.
I feel like if they decided to go in a completely different direction and make something that's completely open world like Skyrim or completely plot based, more like Zelda games, for example, I feel like either choice that they would make would annoy or piss off a large portion of the fan base.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because one of the strengths of the series is that you can play them in any way you want. I think not that you can. No, I don't mean like an open world. I mean like if you like grinding, you do grinding. If what you care is the story, you will read every dialogue. You will read every little Easter egg hidden in the world. If what you want is just competitive, you will do that thing. But
just play competitive. Yeah.
But the newer ones are like a little bit
structured,
cutscene feel. It's like if you take that huge of a step, like you said, like doing it like Zelda does or doing it like Skyrim, you will lose that option of, while the games are linear, you can play it in different ways. But if you do that, you are maybe giving them too much choice.
It's like a middle ground, like we were saying.
So, is there anything that you think that Pokemon could actually do? Because we've been talking about things that if they do this, it's not going to go well. What could they actually do that would improve that feeling of accomplishment at the end of the game, ideally for most of the play styles?
The only real thing I can think of is more of an open world. We've established that a lot of what it comes down to is levels, yeah? We're all in agreement of that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's something.
Yeah, so the only thing I could think of is you're gonna have to make it so certain items or TMs or whatever, you actually go out of your way to find them. And like, maybe even not have all ride Pokemon just given to you. Maybe like, I don't know, let's say there's a ride Pokemon for Dive. And Dive is optional throughout the entire game. But in certain diving spots, you can find some crazy items or whatever. Like if I had to go out of my way, find the person that'll give me the ride Pokemon for Dive, then go out of my way and find places where I can dive and find secret locations where I can find secret Pokemon or secret items or whatever, that'd be great. Or even there's a lot of rumors that Sword and Shield are going to be somewhat open world in the sense that you can challenge the first 6 gyms in any order you want.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's also fairly. I don't know about safe, but I think that's a smart move to make, at least to try something out, because it seems, for me, stories, I really like story. Black and White are my favorite Pokemon games, and then Sun and Moon's definitely up there for me, personally. But most people don't like Sun and Moon. That's because of how slow paced it is and because of the whole story thing. So if you're scared that the whole story thing's gonna piss off people, I would say next best thing is go for open world and try to make it so that you don't have to go everywhere. And then if you want to, you can explore certain areas and find certain items if you decide to explore.
I like that.
Yeah, and the Switch is the perfect moment, the perfect option to try something like that. Let's say the Galar region, you have the power in the Switch to make an open worldish game and have that a different kind of level curve, a level progression.
I wonder if it would be possible, assuming that the rumor about being able to battle the gym in any order, assuming that's real.
Mm-hmm.
Then the gyms would scale depending on how many badges.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah, which would be fantastic. I'm
so
all
cool
for that.
Yeah, go for it.
But even then, you still have the possibility of over leveling ahead of time,
right,
and then battling the gym, right? And maybe this is what some people want, but I wonder if it would be helpful if the opponent's levels actually scaled based on what they're actually carrying.
Yeah, I was about to say that would be crazy if they're always like 2 or 3 levels above your max level. That'd be insane.
Yeah,
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting.
Or a couple levels higher than your average.
No, that way you'd have to either your choice is either to use type advantage or strategy or both. You're forced to
Yeah, I think that would be really interesting in terms of like the difficulty of the game and actually making you feel more accomplished. But it might get in the way of how some people play Pokemon.
But then that's where the option that everyone's made. I don't know why we haven't brought this up yet. That's where the option of difficulty settings come in. Like Black 2 and White 2 had it, but it was so limited. Like
Right.
no one knew about it either. But if there could be a difficulty setting like I don't know, normal or like adjust to my level, adjust to my team, or I don't know, whatever. Like adjust to my team or just whatever, it would be fine.
While it comes to levels at the end, I think there's something with world building also. Because as I said, you don't feel at the end of the game like you are the champion, or you don't feel at the beginning like the world is alive. Like you don't feel people live in this world. You feel just like someone new who needs to learn everything of the new region. But I think it's like again going again to the chosen one narrative. I was thinking comparing it in my mind. I was comparing it to Star Wars, to the original trilogy. Like you had Luke, who lives in this planet, in this desert, and he doesn't know about the Force. He heard some things, but he doesn't really know how it works, how to use it. But he comes to the desert, he finds Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan explains how the Force works and how to use it.
Right.
So I think it's like then you see how Luke grows up, learns how to use that power, and defeats Darth Vader and the Emperor. While that, it's also a quick story, a short story in some... It's 3 movies, but it happens in a short time. You understand how the world works and understand how this character grows into this savior, and how he can defeat the evil emperor. If you have something like that, like you are shown how the Pokemon world works before you even start to explore it, or not so much how it works, but you are shown people who understand it, you will see how some stuff that makes that world feel lived in, and you will feel like you have to grow to be like something like those characters.
Right. Yeah, you have something like to beat or compete against,
Yeah,
or like
exactly,
look up to.
exactly.
Some role model.
Yeah, for example, I think they kinda did it with Hala. They tried to, but they didn't show much of that. And then you have Tapu Koko appearing and being that chosen one narrative.
I'd say Kukui is more of the role model kind of guy. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
I think it will be much better if Tapu Koko, instead of just saving you and giving you the stone to make the C move bracelet, it will be better if Tapu Koko appeared after the festival. Like you have this battle with Hau, you beat Hau, and then Tapu Koko, instead of just shouting Koko, appeared in the middle of the festival and give both of you the shining stone, like recognizing both characters as someone who has the something special in them. It's like, give me something before I even start, like to world build, to have some story. Give me some backstory of how the world works. That's something I want. It's like I need that.
To play devil's advocate for Tapu Koko, I think the reason why he appeared then was just like cause the courage he showed when saving Nebby and stuff. But no, I definitely understand what you're saying. Like even for me, honestly, going back to X and Y, if the whole Lysander thing, I feel like if there was some little backstory that said, our mom was like, oh, hey, by the way, did you know our great-great-great-great-grandfather was also from Kalos, but now we moved back? Great stuff. And then you somehow find out that you're like the descendant of one of the kings or whatever, or something. I don't know. You had some tie-in to the war or some of the history or whatever. I'm like, all right, this is all I needed. This is all I feel somewhat chosen. Maybe not chosen, but I feel somewhat, I can take on Lysander after this.
Yeah, I get that. That would be good if they inserted you as a character more into the
Yeah.
story, like ahead of
Yeah.
for the Tapu Koko situation. I think could have been done the same way, except with the events reversed, so that you have your battle with Hao, and then you have to go rescue Lily. And even if Tapu Koko, something's happening on the bridge, you have to go and fend off the Spearows, and then the bridge breaks and Tapu Koko saves you. If you and Hal were Bear at the same time, and you both help, but like the bridge broke when you were on it, so you're the one that Tapu Koko actually like physically rescues, and then you both get the sparkling stone. I think that would have worked because then you're both special. You do have that like you slightly more special because you were the one who was rescued, but you're both being recognized.
Yeah, or even better, let's say it's like first the festival, the one who wins the battle gains the right to go to the altar for Tapu Koko and leave like a little gift. Like if that's something that's a tradition, let's say.
Ooh,
Right.
Yeah.
Imagine that if that was the case, you could like win the right to go to the shrine, and then happens that because let's say Cosmog ran off and someone had to save him. Like it will give you that you won the festival, and that gives you the opportunity to go to Tapu Koko. That's why you have him on your side.
And it could be like that, how he's just like, I'll just come with you until the altar, and then you can go inside the altar. And then that way, Libras, your thing still works. Like how Lily are all there. Yeah, I like the sounds of both of your ideas, to be honest. It could have been reversed, and it could have been that, hey, you're going that way just because you have to offer Tapu Koko something, and there you go. Yeah, I think no matter what it boils down to, you're gonna have to make the character like deliberately special in one way or other. Either he's connected to some kind of history or story within the actual story, he's connected to some kind of character, or he or she has some sort of special ability that no other trainer has. You're gonna have to make an actual character out of the character.
I think we've covered as much of the topic as I hoped to cover, and more. We've talked about. I don't think that there's really much of a conclusion. We've already talked about all the things that they could improve.
My only conclusion is, at this point, the only hope is open world gameplay, or somewhat open world gameplay and exploration. Because you put story, people are gonna complain. You change the level gap or whatever, you change things with levels, people are gonna complain. Open world exploration, I think it'll be a nice step forward. It'll be a nice step forward in a good direction too.
Yeah, let's hope the rumors are true.
Well,
Yeah.
they said they were gonna do it. I think it was one of the first interviews with Masuda and Omori back when Pokémon in the Switch was announced. They mentioned we are going to make a somewhat open world game.
Fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed also for better story.
Yeah,
Just better writing in general, I guess.
more compacted writing.
I want to thank you both very much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I didn't know I had so much animosity towards X and Y, or towards black and white. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good hearing everyone's
Really
thoughts.
entertaining.
Yeah, I really like this format because if I was trying to cover this topic by myself, I would only have my ideas,
Yeah.
and they would be a lot less developed because I wouldn't have two other people to bounce them off.
Technology is amazing.
So I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by hitting the like button and leaving a comment down below. I hope that HybridHero and Ruin Maniac will join me in the comment section and see what all of you have to say.
Of course.
Of
I'll
course,
be there.
of course.
Hey, subscribe to all three of us, all right?
Links to Ruin Maniac and HybridHero's channels are in the description. I'm Umbreon Libris, and I'll see you in the next chapter.